that Citrix, as a result, would no longer be secure, we knew we had some work to do. So instead of just patching what we had, we decided to invest in rewrite Conexion. Moso Club is that rewrite. And the big news here is that Moso Club is now a native web application. This is also known as software as a service, or SaaS. The benefit to you is that you can now access Moso Club with the browser from anywhere, from the club, from home, or on the road. You'll also have better performance with Moso Club, faster loads, and overall better experience. All of the features and functions you've grown used to are included in Moso Club, and over the next 6 to 12 months, we will be introducing additional functionality, initially around scheduling. Another benefit of a web-based product is that all enhancements and updates will come to you automatically and transparently in the future. You'll never have to ask us if you're on the latest version, because there will only be one version up and running. Let's talk a little bit about what you need to know for the transition. There's no data conversion necessary. We'll be able to merge your current database seamlessly into Moso Club. All of your current configurations will also be able to port over to the new system. Business logic has remained unchanged, so your member information, billing cycles, membership types, and everything else you've configured and utilized in Conexion will remain unchanged in Moso Club. My Club will continue to operate as usual for your members so that they may interact with you and continue to purchase memberships online with ease. Minimal training is required. Your familiarity with Conexion already provides you with a firm understanding of how Moso Club will work. We will provide condensed training sessions so that you and your staff are familiarized with where these features reside and any new features that will be available to you. A couple of other points. There's now going to be an application programmable interface available, which provides you with the power to allow you to seamlessly integrate with third-party applications such as InTouch, Constant Contact, Salesforce.com, TechnoGym, H2 Wellness, and others. And finally, a simplified user interface where all modules, membership management, check-in, POS, etc., are centrally accessed in a single location. Alex is going to move to the demo now, and he will be able to show you that. Thank you.
Thanks for the introduction, Bob, and the quick overview. So folks, we are really excited to be here to present what we've been working on over the last many weeks here with Moso Club and this transition. So right at the start, what I'd like to show you folks is, as Bob mentioned, the accessibility of the application now. So Citrix is going away altogether, and it was creating a lot of performance issues for many of you customers over the years. And based on a lot of the customer feedback we got, as well as some things that Microsoft was doing on their end, it really drove us to try and make this very important change for you. So one thing I will stress to all of our participants on this webinar is we are strongly recommending Google Chrome and Mozilla Firefox as the browsers that you all use. I know we've already been hearing from some folks who are institutional and utilize IE across their platform. Right now, it's simply not going to be a browser that we're going to support with this product today. Eventually, we may get somewhere down the line with Microsoft as they make their changes periodically to everything they're doing. But for today, for the here and now, let's just focus on Mozilla Firefox and Google Chrome, and you guys should experience some very good and stable performance with the application. So I'm using Chrome right now. I have a link. Each of you will be provided with your very own URL to access the application. So I just have to make sure I've got my website address in the browser bar. And once I've selected that, here is the login screen. So you can select your employee ID and password, very similar to what you were doing before, and workstation as well that you're logging into. So I'll go ahead, I'll log in, and you'll see immediately that we land on the member management portion of the application. So if you look at this, you'll see that, yes, there are some look and feel differences in the UI, but the data and where the data sits, it's still in the similar places as it was before. So you're not going to have to really hunt and peck. So member information residing here, as well as the membership type that they've got, their demographics, emergency contact info, the statuses to membership. As you can see, I can click here, and now I can go ahead and see any of the obligation dates, the start dates to a membership, any additional dates around services that we may upsell to the members, such as a locker service, towel service, or daycare, as some examples. For those customers who are utilizing BOSS or back office support services, the functionality in the phases is still right where it was before, so you can still easily access that information and perform the functions of rolling members into BOSS. Your freezing utilities or putting members on hold, those are still available right here, and the freeze wizard is still under utilities. As well as any facilities that you may grant access to members. So some have reciprocal access, some have an all access membership type, or some have limited. Contract and financial information. So the details around the contract that you'd signed up for a particular member would display here. The agreement details, you can still drill into that information and see it. And as you notice, the UI has more of these more pop-up windows to give you the data in a different format there. Bank draft, you can see how you're charging them for membership dues, point of sale charges, etc. And of course, their banking and credit card information would still stay in the same place. And one thing to note for all of you, this application is still PCI certified. So we will be encrypting card and bank information, and we'll be securitizing that for you, so you have peace of mind when it comes to storing that data. Miscellaneous information, or the user-defined fields that you may have been using over the years, would carry over here, and you'd still be able to access all of that information. We do encourage folks to use it at your leisure. Member documents and activity history. So this is an area where there's going to be an immediate change. Previously, one of the other challenges that some of our customers faced when it came to this particular feature was, well, gee, you know, the activities and the documents are all in one place, and I have to scroll through to try and find these things. You'll pardon me, in the build that I'm on, I don't necessarily have it to show, but we are now going to actually split the activities or change histories that happen on a member record versus the documents that you've uploaded to that member record. They'll be in two distinctive places, making it a lot easier for you to find what you're looking for. So to us, that was a very important change for you. The member account history, where all of the charges, whether they be a recurring base charge or a point of sale charge, are still living right back here in the member account history area, as well as tracking any open balances and the ages of those balances. I can, of course, click on any of these, and it would drill down into that specific transaction. It's just now you've got it coming out at you in this window instead of just popping up in a window below that transaction. So it's a little easier to read it and see it. Recurring charges, again, very specific. If you are charging members not just for dues, but for locker, towel, personal training, any of the other revenue streams that you may be charging on a recurring basis, those would show up here, and you'd be able to access details around those recurring charges as well. Lastly, the message system is still in place. So it's a little nicer to look at. Before, you had the message routing system just kind of show to you, and you had to scroll through below. Whereas now what we've done is we have a message here, and I have a message history down below, which is insert date. So now I can just click on the date and timestamp relevant to a message and see it. So it's a little easier to navigate and track through those messages. That's really the area immediately on member management. The features, some of the features you have been used to in the past, the email wizard, the freeze wizard, the ability to archive and merge members are still available. One thing I will touch on is billing. This is very important. you will still continue to operate your billing processes utilizing the same steps. So you don't have to worry about any tangible change to this area right now. So continue to please go ahead and create your batch files as you've been doing them since time immemorial in the product. Reporting. I'll touch on this real quickly. Another big change, however it'll look optically to you as a small change, is we are no longer using Crystal Reporting as our engine to provide you with the data that's critical to your day-to-day operations. We are now going straight to Microsoft SQL reports. It should be a lot more dynamic for you, and it's also opening the doors for us. When Bob had mentioned future development and features, it's opening the doors for us to continue to enhance and optimize the reporting tool and actually create a warehouse engine at the end of the day, which we will, when it's ready, be happy to discuss with customers. And that's more of a trends and projections analysis tool as opposed to the static reports that you're typically, or transactional reports that you're typically running. But just so you can see a few things here, I'll go ahead and select a rather basic report. I'll just select my membership type report, and then I'll go ahead and select all of my different membership types. And then I'll create my report style, which is a lot like what you were doing before. And I'll just say demographics. And now I'll go ahead and it'll generate the report out here. And again, reports should be generating much quicker than they were before. You will still be able to reformat your reports. The new formats that you would have available to you to do this as an export is an Excel, PDF file formats, or Word file formats. So you should still be able to utilize your data if you're using any third-party accounting tools, etc. You should still be able to conduct your data transfer out of MoSoClub into your QuickBooks, Peachtree, or whatever accounting utility you're using. On the setup side, everything would still also be the same. So your employees are still set up in the same manner as they were before, as well as the permissions. All of those will port over for you customers, so we're not going to have to reinvent the wheel on that, as well as your membership types. Those are very important areas for all of you. So we wanted to make sure that we put your minds at ease when it came to that. One other thing I'm going to show you folks right now. I'm going to go from membership in this area, and I'm going to open check-in in a separate tab. So this is really important. A lot of you folks over the years have said, gee, I'd love it if I could just have check-in and be able to do other things in the system. Well, this is one way to get you there. So I can run check-in in this separate tab and continue to utilize this area of Moso Club with ease. The check-in utility is going to look the same. A lot of the things that you're used to having there for your front desk staff and reception area are still in place. So I can see again a message center here. The usage reports and the usage logs that you may be generating out on a per member basis are here. The file or account information relevant to a particular member who's checked in is going to be here. Photographs, if you do need to continue to take pictures, we hope you do, of new members as they're coming in, that functionality's there. And the photographs that you already have in the database are going to come right over into this as well. Adding a subordinate or an add-on member to a primaries account is available. A no usage log. The activities now, this is a little bit of a different logo. This is showing you what activities, or telling you or allowing you to select what activities a member checking in may be participating in. And last but not least, the family member check-in component that you've had before is still going to be available. So with that being said, let me go ahead and just check in a couple of folks here just so you can see what that looks like. The information that you had before below here relevant to a member's status in any way. Is there a club restriction? Is there a past due balance? Is the agreement pending? All of these statuses relevant to this person are still going to display below here. And just by clicking, these are still actionable areas in the application. Just by clicking them, you can see the relevant details to why that message may be showing up or that prompt, and manage the members as you've been doing before. Instead of having members, by the way, showing up on your daily list of check-ins on the right-hand side, which was in that white space before, it's now going to be below. And again, by clicking in and out of the people that show up below, you'll be able to actually go back to those check-in records. So I'll just continue to check in a few more folks here. And you can see we're on Paul, but I can switch over to Brent with ease right from here. And again, all the notes relevant to a particular member would show up here. This is the color scheme and the new look and feel for check-in. So we hope you like that. I'm going to go ahead and go over to point of sale right now. So a little bit, there are some changes, but they're rather cosmetic within the point of sale. All of your category items would port right over again into the system, so you don't have to change anything here. I'll go ahead and run a transaction just to show you some of the look and feel here at a point of sale. We'll pull John Benamore up here. And I'll go ahead and sell miscellaneous items to him right now. So we may sell him service. And as you notice, I clicked on service. It brought up a separate window for us. So I can say, well, I'm going to sell him training. Now the subcategory, the category items under training are showing up right here. I'll pick sessions with Dan, your quantities. So you can continue to select the quantities of the items that you're selling, which show up top. So I just sold 6 sessions of personal training with Dan. My nutritional items are showing up here. We'll sell them a muscle builder. Miscellaneous items that you may have in the database would show up here as well. You could sell them a combination lock. Food items, so fruit, power bars, whatever you may have from a pro shop or smoothie bar perspective would show up here. Clothing. So Nike women's running shoes. We'll go ahead and sell him some of those. I don't know why he'd need them, but he's got them anyway. And now, tendering out a transaction is still the same thing. The 3 icons below here represent those different methods of tendering out a transaction. We can go ahead and tend cash, and we can go ahead and select the denominations that you may be taking into the cash drawer. You can continue to do exact change, which is, of course, going to just close this transaction out as you're used to. Get the receipt printer going, printing off the receipt and popping the cash drawer open. And then, of course, the one that most of you use here is the one that displays all the available tender options. So I'll go ahead, I'll do a split tender transaction in this case. I'll do 200 in cash. And then the balance in check shows up here. And we'll just tender this out. My payment has been successfully paid, as you can see here. It's a prompt. And now you'll see a mock-up of a receipt that we've got going out to this member. And that's the point of sale. The next area I'm going to go to is the agreement writer. Again, there are no workflow changes from your day-to-day operations as it comes to signing up a member. So I'll go ahead and, let's say, create a new membership agreement. Keep in mind this is a demo database, so it's rather limited in a lot of the things it's got, but let me go ahead and I'll sign myself up, let's say, here. And bear with me as I go through a modicum of data entry. Go back in time here, but I won't make myself too old. And I'll go next. Required fields are still whatever you want them to be. I'll select my membership type. I'll get a full membership. My term, in this case, they put full in, but this is your 3, 6, 12, 9-month, whatever type of terms you have to your memberships. Automatically, again, it'll calculate out any initial dues that are due today, and it'll also let you know what dues are going to be paid by the member on a monthly basis. The next thing you'll do is select Your payment methods, that's still the same. We're supporting statement, bank, credit card, responsible party for those of you that have a lot of corporate members, or any payroll billing that you have to do to HR departments. I'll go on a statement to keep it easy, and I'll go select my counselor here. Most of you know Charlie, so I'll go ahead and select him as my salesperson. Any additional information you may want to select, that would be available here as well. And then at the end of the day, I'll print the agreement, is what most of you do, and have the member sign off on it. In this case, for this demonstration, I'll just go ahead and finish it, and you can see again, agreement has been added successfully. And now I am a member of this club. So that's the process from the agreement writer standpoint. Really, at the end of the day, this is the first iteration that we wanted to let all of you see as it relates to the product. And as Bob had mentioned, at this point, what we're going to do is open the floor to any questions you may have. And you can go ahead and enter those questions in and submit them, and we'll happily do our best to answer those for you right now. Here we go. How does this affect digital contracts, if at all? If you already have contracts uploaded as a part of your setup in the database, it's not going to impact it at all. They're all going to port over. So that would be a seamless transition. And thank you for the question. So let's see here. The next one is, if we have signature pad, will it work? Yes, it will work. In fact, let me tell you a little bit about the signature devices. A big issue with the signature pad that we had as a company was the format, meaning the interface that we had to rely on because of Citrix. It was serial based, which is really antiquated. Computers nowadays simply aren't being built with that. So going forward, the devices that we will recommend as it relates to signature specifically are going to be USB based. We'll go ahead and send you guys out a new updated sheet for recommended hardware items as we go ahead and update those. Those updates are coming. The next question was, can we delete some of the inventory reports, etc.? So if you want to go in and make adjustments to existing data that's in there, our team would be able to help you with this as you ask it of them. It's really just looking at the database and seeing what you think, in essence, clearing the clutter. If you think there's something that's been sitting in there that's no longer valid, we'll happily help you with that. Do we have to use the agreement writer? Well, listen, in essence, you don't, but it's going to make your lives a heck of a lot easier if you do, because it's going to be easier for you to manage agreements that particular members have. If the process for you has been to run your agreements on paper contracts outside of the system and then just manually enter those in, that's fine. Continue to do it. But certainly we do recommend the agreement writer. Is the setup where different employee logins can only access so much? Yes. This goes to the security protocol. So the question was, is the setup where different employee logins can only access so much, such as termination of a membership? So the security protocols and the roles that your employees sit under are going to remain the same. Of course, if you want to make any changes to those, you can feel free to do so. Next question is, did you go through dues processing? If so, I must have missed it. So let me happily bear with us, folks, as I just quickly go back to how membership dues runs. As we mentioned to the folks who were in attendance, billing processing still operates in the same manner. You go down to it through the utilities drop down. You'll see your periodic charges here, your finance charges, your EFT, your paper statements as well. Coupon printing, if you want to do that. We don't know many people who use those, but you would still go through all of the same steps in submitting your batch to either MoSoClub or whoever you may be processing with. Agreements will be saved and we can print them out at later times for membership. Yes, absolutely. That, again, is where you go through the agreement wizard and you create all of the parameters around the agreement. It would store to that member, and then you'd have them sign off either electronically or they could sign manually, and you could upload that contract into the document manager and access that agreement at your leisure. If minimal training is necessary, how do we set that up? So this is part of the implementation. The teams have everyone effectively in different phases. You will be in contact with your account management team and support specialists and implementation specialists who will then walk you through step by step everything that they're going to be doing. One of the things I'll tell you folks, as we roll this out, it's not going to take us a lot of time, but you're not just going to be cut off from Conexion immediately. You will once you're live on Moso Club. Conexion won't be available the way you've been accessing it. It'll be through Moso Club. But during the transition, you will be running in parallel is what we call it. So you'll be able to access one or the other. But when it's finally done, that's it. It's going to be Moso Club. If we have a signature pad, will it work the same? And this dovetails to kind of two questions. Will the current signature pads work? Yes. The answer is very simple there. Adding classes to members is still the same. Yes. Adding your classes to members, no change there for you at all. Is the next podcast training going to be on the same topic? It will. It'll be simply, we had a lot of folks who signed up, so we're running, separate instances of these webinars just so we can make sure we're getting the information out to everyone. Will the key card application be affected by this change? It will not. The key card application will continue to run and operate, hopefully even better than it did before. We currently only have 2 workstations to enter member information on. If we have another PC, can we access and enter the member information on it as well? If you're going to add a workstation, you can certainly do that. I recommend talking to your account manager, and they can make sure that they walk you through the process of adding that workstation to your setup. The camera feature was crashing on our computers and the receipt printer was regularly not working. Will this work better now? It's going to work a lot better. Let me tell you folks, one thing to put your mind at ease on here right now to answer any hardware related questions is, generally speaking, across the board, your hardware or peripheral devices are going to be working much more efficiently. And that's just the nature of a cloud-based SaaS application like Moso Club. Will the custom function on the query screen still be available? So that's one I want to go ahead and check with the development team on. I'm not sure. I believe it should, but let me go ahead. We've got your name here and we've got your question, and we will make sure to send you a follow-up message immediately as it relates to that. Does this integrate with MailChimp too, or just Constant Contact? Well, Bob touched at the beginning on the API. This is a really big win for all of you at the end of the day. An API allows us to really integrate in a seamless manner with just about any third party you want. So if you want to use MailChimp, Constant Contact, InTouch, any of these big players in the industry, we would happily work with MailChimp and you to make that happen and integrate. But keep in mind, the API is on the roadmap. It's not here necessarily today or during this initial transition, but we are going to, again, be sending out notifications as these features are included, and the API will be one of the quick ones. And then at that point, let's start investigating potential what we call a potential ecosystem of partnerships that you may be able to take advantage of. If a person walks in off the street to purchase something from the pro shop and they are not a member, can the sale be made? Well, let's take the example of a bottle of water, right? That's something you could sell to just about anybody. Absolutely. as long as you have set up in your item setup, as long as you have specified that it's not a member required item, you can sell anything to anyone. It's really a matter of who you want to sell what to. So it's a configuration, absolutely. Will members have access to their accounts? So this is a great question. We had previously, for a lot of you customers, MoSoClub. MoSoClub allowed your consumers to access their accounts online and also allowed you to sell your memberships or conduct free trials. So yes, the answer is yes. We have MoSoClub available today, actually, which we can add on. It is an add-on piece to the puzzle for you, but it would allow members to log into your website using our MoSoClub. We integrate into your website, so it's always seamless. They click on my account, and then they'd be able to see things like their usage reports, their transaction histories. They could make payments online. That's a very big feature. So yes, absolutely. Will there be an easy way to email digital agreements? So right now, the way you're doing it is you'd have to, if you have a scanned document or anything like that, the way it's going to work today is you would attach a PDF and send that email outbound through whatever emailing system you're using to the member. It's not something internal necessarily to MoSoClub, although you could access a PDF stored document out of MoSoClub and then, of course, attach that to an email. But certainly, we get the need for an email component with the application. It's just not something that we have currently. Would we now be able to access every member from all 4 of our clubs at check-in? So this one is a little interesting. You would be able, so it's by the club. Now, if you're talking about remotely, yes, you could, in theory, you could access each club's Moso Club instance and see the information there. But if you're saying you're running separate databases per se, let's say, you would have to click into each environment. If you have a single database, then yes, that information would be available for you to see across all your locations. Is there an error on contract? How do we make changes after the member is gone? So if there's an error, so if you're talking about some sort of human error that may be occurring as you're enrolling someone, and you want to make an edit to an agreement, you can overwrite, I believe, those existing agreements and make your changes as you deem fit. Is finger swipe available in place of barcode entry? So let me speak to this one. This is across our products, our competitors' products, anyone. Biometrics, as a rule, while there's a wow factor to it and you get out of the recurring cost of getting key tags, is not the optimal way to manage check-in, primarily because the technology is still such that you get false positives. You have problems with elderly folks who are trying to check in. As we age, our skin wrinkles, these readers aren't that great at reading it. Or even if there's a quirky one of people of Asian descent, because their fingerprints are fainter, they don't pick up on the readers. So when you talk about check-in, you need the most rapid method of getting people through the front door into the club. That's still going to be a key tag. It's just still the most optimal and still the most reliable method of checking people in. Is the new system an entirely web-based application? We will upload all member files to an FTP server? That's a question. It is a totally web-based, cloud-based application. So the answer to both is yes. Were there any changes to redeeming PT sessions? Right now in this initial phase, the way you're redeeming them today is the way you're going to do it tomorrow. But down the line, we are looking at how the system redeems, and we're going to figure out how we want to approach it going forward. It's something we're definitely looking at. Does your current camera still work? Again, this goes back to peripheral devices. Yes, your current camera will work. What date is the software update? So again, this goes to a phased approach to deployment. Everyone initially is in a phase. As we get closer, a few weeks out, let's say, we will send a notification over to you letting you know, hey, it's getting ready to be your turn. Let's go ahead and set up a meeting and discuss the transition. So we'll let you know well in advance of any update as it comes. On Conexion, we do not have a scheduler. Is scheduler included with this change? You mentioned a moment ago adding classes to a member. Is this what? No, the adding classes to a member was effectively, you can sell, of course, group exercise or attach group exercise as an activity to a member, or you can, and I don't know, the question was a little blurry in this. If you needed to change, add a membership class to a member, for instance, gold, silver, bronze, whatever, that's another terminology that we have in the application about class. Now, the thing I'll tell you about scheduler. The plan right now is we did not feel that the existing scheduler in Conexion was up to snuff, and very few of you were using it, really very few. We checked. The plan is you are going to have a brand new scheduling component that would be both an internal scheduling component as well as an online scheduling component. The online would be additional through MoSoClub, but the internal scheduler is going to be given to you via update. So you will be receiving a brand spanking new scheduling system by end of March into early April of 2016. But again, that's the latest that you would see it. What about Rezo.io? Could we integrate with them? Again, the API allows us to extend to anybody. So it's a matter of putting us all in together, communicating with their developers and our team, and seeing if we can't make it happen for you. As a follow-up question, members will not be accessing my company system in any way, correct? They will access the web-based application only. That's correct. They will only be accessing the web-based application. Will this change include a fix for split payments, particularly how they update to accounting link? On this one, honestly, let me check on, this is another one that we need to follow up on, so we are tracking all of our follow-up questions, but thanks for that, and I will make sure that we get you a response to this. Why the lack of color? Well, I know everyone likes red and green, and we heard this before. We actually thought the UI was a lot cleaner this way and less jumbled. We wanted to get away from the Miami Vice color scheme that we had before in Conexion and move to a more slick and updated look and feel. And this is kind of where we ended up on. So the coloring scheme is meant to simplify your lives as opposed to complicate it. Some folks don't like being inundated with a bunch of colors, so we took this approach. Will we be able to access Moso Club as we currently do on our workstations? As we have it set up now, we have a link on our desktop screen that we click. No. So this is the big change. Moso Club is browser based. All you're going to need, Citrix, which is what you're talking about right there. You used to have a Citrix license in a portal. A portal logged you into your management solution. That's going away. Again, the performance and everything else is being updated and has been optimized by allowing you to now just simply access your system via web browser. Another vendor that we use for class registration is Bookio. Could we potentially integrate with Bookio? You mentioned it's coming for big players, but are these considered big players? Look, the API, obviously there's some call them blue chip providers in the industry that we like to work with because we've worked with them in the past. Bob mentioned Technogym, again, InTouch, Salesforce. These are some of the people we've worked with. But if, again, Bookio, whoever you folks want to be using, just reach out to us, and we'll certainly, what we'll do is investigate the process for you. We'll keep you in the loop. You'll be a part of this process for both us and them. And we'll come back to you with what's the viability of a project with these folks. It's always, both companies need to work well together to pull these things off. Can we print receipts on a regular printer instead of a receipt printer? Sure. If you don't want to invest in a receipt printer and you want to just use a regular Epson ColorJet, whatever you want to use, sure, you can go ahead and print receipts off that. If there is an error on digital contract and connection, how do we make a change on the initial digital contract? Hope that makes sense. I mean, this is again thank you for clarifying your earlier question. I really appreciate that. If there is an error on a digital contract, you're going to have to cycle through, because digital, it implies that you've gone through the process, it's stored, it's saved. It's hard to go back to something that is digital in nature and make a change like that. So honestly, the recommendation on this would be you would cancel out anything you did before and go through the process and make sure you got it done appropriately or properly. We think it looks nice. Well, as we like statements as well as questions, so we certainly appreciate that comment right there. This is why we do it, folks. The whole reason we've gone through and invested both time and money in this product is for you, because we want to keep you guys as customers for as long as we're in business, which we hope is for a while here. Is there a way to make the letters bigger and clearer? Very hard to read. So let me go ahead and I'll expand my screen a little bit for you, just so you all have a better look. And thank you for letting me know that. I apologize if it was too small to read. If members will be able to access their accounts online, will they be able to make payments online? Absolutely. That's a core feature to My Club today. We can make that happen for you right away. Feel free, again, reach out to your account management team. They will be able to walk you through exactly what you need to do to add that particular component to your setup. So with it being web-based, I can log on any computer. You can log on any computer. You could log on from the beach to any computer if you really felt inclined to, but I hope most of you would enjoy your beach time as opposed to accessing your management solution. Is there a way to track who is renting what locker through the system? There's a locker management component built into the application. You've already had it. It's a matter of making sure we set it up for you or help you set it up. And if, again, you wanted to roll into something like locker agreements, we could do that as well. And of course, you could track your inventory of lockers, who's been assigned a locker rental, what's their locker number, etc. All of the relevant details around a locker, the locker location, all of those things. You can even run a locker maintenance report out of the Conexion product, or the Moso Club product, I should say. So full locker management. What date does this change take place? Again, for each of you, it's going to be a different date. I don't necessarily have a lot of insight into when your project kicks off, but just let you know it's coming up. So it'll be within the next month or so, at least. It varies for each of you, but within the next month or so. Will our monthly fees be cheaper per month due to not having to use portals anymore? Well, that's a fantastic question, actually. I'll tell you what's happening. We are not going to alter prices for our existing customers. The plan is for net new customers, there will be a price increase that they would be paying, but you will not be. So any of your rates, your fees, your hosting fees, anything, there is no change for you on that. There is no charge to the transition. That's kind of our pledge to our customers. But as far as what you had in place before contractually, those would be in place and remain. Is there a shadow feature for our use in assisting our club employees remotely? So I remember the shadow feature. Shadow users is what it was. That feature, again, we heard a lot of customers tell us that they didn't really use it all that much. So that piece of functionality, unfortunately, would not be available in the updated version. When will the API features be available, or is that available currently? So The plan again would be to have this available sometime in the late first or early second quarter of next year, just to give you a time frame. I'm very skittish about nailing down a time because developers work on their own times and I can't control that, but that is the expected delivery of the functionality for the product. Will you be able to take a member payment and sell a point of sale item in the same transaction? That's a tricky one. I don't think that would be the case here. A payment is to an existing invoice is the reason that this is the case. So you can't necessarily add to an existing invoice, which is what you're asking us to do. The payment would have to still take place. It's very much because of accounting and rules on finances. So you need to make sure that if a member is paying you for past dues, that they are making the payment to that invoice, and if they want to add point of sale items, well, you're going to be really effectively running two transactions. There's very little around that, and it's to your benefit. You mentioned workstations and web-based. With Conexion, we could only access from two computers that had the portal. I'm assuming that with the web-based system, I can access from any computer anywhere, but the workstation ID would indicate that I have to be on a specific workstation. Which is true, accessible from any computer or only specific workstations? It's both, is what it amounts to. It's accessible from any computer, but when you, as you saw on the login screen, let me go ahead and now log out just so everyone can see that again. When you come into your login screen, you have to define which workstation you're logging into. That's the distinction. So yes, any computer, at home, again, on the beach, anything like that is accessible, but you have to define which of your workstations you're going to be coming into. Is the account management team the tech support? How do we contact account management? So let me go ahead. No, your tech support team is your tech support team, and your account management team are your account relationship people. They are there to help you with any additional needs, anything that you have that's not necessarily technically related, although they do work with our support team to help you on particular issues. So you can dial into our 800-829-4321 number, and you can select actually dial sales. That's really the way you get to your account managers, and they will immediately pick up if I don't. So at the end of the day, there you go. Are there a limited number of logins available simultaneously? So this is a concurrency question is what you're asking. So yes, it's a one-to-one relationship is what it amounts to. So one login to one workstation effectively is what I believe it is. I think I'm correct on this. I can confirm, but it's a one-to-one relationship. Can you show us how the screen looks when I first come in to sign on for the day right from the browser? So that's what this screen right here you see here. This is your login screen. So this is exactly when you click on your web address and you hit enter, it's going to bring you right to this screen that you guys all see hopefully on the webinar. How do you protect member credit card information? We currently use authorize.net for payment processing. Will we still be able to use them with this web-based system? How will it integrate? Auth.net has been a gateway that we've worked with for years, and it's not changing. You can continue to use them if you would like as your preferred gateway. The first part of your question, how do we protect member credit card information? We are PCI Level 1 certified. And let me specify what that means for everyone is we have an encryption model that we've built into the application that will mask credit card and bank account information. That information can only be accessed by those people who have the proper credentials to do so. Can you connect to 24-hour access using the Brevo platform? We've actually worked with Brevo in the past. I know this. I think this is one that I would ask you to contact our support team, and they would be able to walk you through exactly if Brevo is going to be a go for you. Traditionally, we used IBC as a preferred controller for Door Relay, But if you have a Brevo system or want to go to a Brevo system, reach out to support and they could certainly help you and walk you through what it would take to potentially make something like that happen. Based on this, will we be able to share login with individual clubs? So let me just speak from a best practices standpoint. I would never recommend sharing login credentials. I think you should keep those for yourselves. But if you did want to go ahead and share those, you could. There's nothing preventing you from doing that. We work with a number of clubs. Can these all be listed as options on our sign-in screens without databases being shared? Sure. So if you're running, as long as you're running them on separate database, well, you can actually secure access to the data, I think. But at the end of the day, if you have a merged database, it's going to be hard to do it. If you have split databases, then it's much easier to obviously manage that because one would not necessarily have access to the other's information. But if they are merged, it's a much trickier proposition, I can tell you that. And I don't even think we'd be able to support it. Is there a field to enter the how members found our club, web friend, drive-bys? Can multiple reasons be entered? Can we query these? Yes. So these are user-defined fields that we went into. That's the miscellaneous field option. Let me go ahead and I'll go to it real quickly here. So the miscellaneous fields that you populate, and that's right over here, you can see I have list categories, I can have text categories, you can have multiple categories. What you're asking for is marketing sources or lead sources. So absolutely, you can go in, enter in the lead sources that you want to, that you're tracking, and we'd be able to help you enter those in, and you could then report out on the miscellaneous data fields that you've entered in. If someone is logged into a workstation, what happens if a team member tries to log into the same workstation? That's a great question. At the end of the day, it would actually bump out the person who's currently working in, I believe. Hold on, let me just check here. I'm getting a response. I actually have misspoken. What would happen? Okay, so what happens if someone is logged into a workstation, someone else tries to access it? Sorry, I got a correction here. It would actually give you a prompt that that workstation is currently in use, and you would have to try and access it at a later time. How many workstations are we allowed to have, and how do we add them? Well, you're allowed to have as many workstations as you want as long as it's in your contract that you have those workstations. So you need to, again, talk with your account managers if you want to add workstations to your setup. But whatever you're using today is what you'd be able to use tomorrow. That's the way that we've set this up for you. So, and the other part, the second part to that question is how many workstations are we allowed to have? And if you want to add workstations, as I mentioned, go ahead and reach out to our account management team. They'll be able to help you with that. We close daily reporting of our clubs at our corporate office. Once balanced, can we lock the day to prevent further changes? So this is an access question that we've run into, actually. And let me give you all a sense of how this is going to play out over the next 6 to 8 months. Initially, it will be incumbent on your organization to restrict remote access if you need to with your employees to the application. So if you need to create security around your link, your URL, we recommend you get an IT expert in on doing this within your browsers or with the link itself and securitize it. Our plan with this is we are going to have this functionality in this product for you probably again by that March, that next big development date that we've got looming. We should have the ability for you to securitize access externally to the application again by March. This is something that we're working on actively, and we're aware of this particular need. We have to type in MoSoClub.net to sign on. You'll be given a URL. I don't know what that name of your particular web address will be. but the team will again walk through it. This is my demo environment. I think at the end of the day, it may be something similar to that, but the support team would know what your name is going to be. Currently, SQL Server is used to merge accounting information with accounting software, i.e. QuickBooks. Is it the same for Moso Club? So when you say merge, I'm assuming it's the accounting link function that you may have been using in the past. So you should be able to do the same thing here. We're still on the Microsoft SQL stack, so there's no particular change for you there. How will we know when we're able to start using the system? Well, we're going to walk you through it. It's not going to be a big mystery. You will know exactly when you are live on this system, I guarantee you. It's not like we're just going to one day have this up and running. You walk in your doors and suddenly you see Moso Club. That's not the way it goes. We're going to reach out to each and every one of you. We're going to walk you through a process in the transition. We're going to be there to guide you. We're going to be there to give you a modicum of training on it, each of you. And then you will be live on the system. You're going to know exactly what that go live date is. So with that being said, I know we have, oh, hold on, there was one more that got in here. If the data is all accessible on the web-based application, I don't understand why it matters which workstations we use to access the system. How does the workstation tie in? Well, it's a matter of licensing. Let me be honest with you. It's how we know what our customers are using and what they're not using. So there's a practical reason for us as a software company. That's how we do make money, to be able to track. So that's the actual answer to that question. And with that being said, if there are additional questions, please, again, reach out to support or account management, and we will be happy to answer them. I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out of your day here to step in and take a look at this. I really do hope you're as excited as we are, I hope you're as excited to get it as we are to deliver this to you. And there's just going to be more great things to come, and we really look forward to being your software partner for years to come. So with that being said, thank you all again, and we do look forward to speaking to each and every one of you. Thanks so much.